Asante sana. You may be seated. Honorable Ukur Yatani, all honorable members of parliament wamefika hapa na wale wengine ambao wamefika, amjambo. Assalamu alaikum. Asanteni sana. I am very delighted to have the morning with members from Northern Kenya region. As Okura said, he called me and asked me if I could have time to come and have a breakfast. And I told him my diary was full, but I will see if I can shift. And I quickly looked at the diary and I shifted. And I'm always pleased to meet the people from this region for historical reasons. You've said many things. I'm going to say why later. But I just want to, I don't want to take a very long time to talk to you people. Because we have discussed so many things. I see so many familiar faces here. And we have been through the issues, so I don't want to really belabor the points. And in my other incarnation, when I was a prime minister, I appointed one of you, Mr. Elmi here, as a minister, the Ministry of Northern Kenya and other arid and semi-arid lands. And in that capacity, he did a lot of work with a number of experts. They did a lot of research work and produced a lot of documents, a lot of problems. But they went around and looked at the problems, the causes, and the solutions to those problems. So we really do not want to reinvent the wheel. We know where we are and where we should take off from and continue. This region of Kenya has lagged behind for historical reasons. I told you when we were in school, when you were drawing the map of Kenya, you drew it, then you took a ruler and drew a straight line from Turkana right down to Lamu. Up there you wrote NFD, Northern Frontier District. There were no towns, nothing there. Kenya was defined by what was below that line. And as I told you, Kenya was defined by the railway line. That is how Kenya was actually constructed. The railway was constructed from Mombasa to Kisumu. It was called Kenya-Uganda Railway. You ask yourself, if it was Kenya-Uganda, why did it end in Kisumu? Because Kisumu was then part of Uganda, the capital of the eastern province of Uganda, which came all the way up to Naivasha. So from Kisumu, they were just sent by ship across to Port Bell in Kampala. Then the railway was again constructed from Voi, a branch, through Taveta to Moshi. Another one from Konza to Magadi, to go and get the soda ash. Another one from Nairobi to Nanyuki, Mount Kenya. Then from Gilgil to Nyahururu. And then Eldoret to Kitale. All that area was called the White Highlands. And that's where the towns sprang up along the railway line, those railway stations. And those are where the economic activities were concentrated. To Mzungu, Northern Kenya was of no economic value. So it was just NFD. Then, when independence came, the reason why this was perpetuated, one of them, was because there was a shifter war. That shifter war gave the government in Nairobi an excuse to continue marginalization of that region. And nothing was happening. Laws were introduced which continued to marginalize that area. It was called Special Operational Zone. Where you going there, you needed a special permit to go there. And there you found policemen wearing jungle fatigue and dealing with the people as if they are foreigners, their own country. I'm telling you that yours truly, on his first trip to Mandera, was shocked when we were kicked out of our hotel. And we found ourselves completely helpless. There's nowhere to sleep. The DC had given instructions that we should not be accommodated in any of the hotels. The owners of the hotels were told that if they accommodated us, the hotels would be closed. So we found ourselves sleeping in somewhere under a tree in the compound of a friend of ours. Our friend Mr. Yusuf, he passed on last year. The one who took us to his parents. And because there was only one bedroom available, we allowed the only woman in our delegation to sleep there. As we were sleeping in bed, but just under the tree, being woken up in the morning by Somali BBC radio. That was a special operational zone. We were told that what we had done elsewhere we could not do there. This is 1992. And so this is what really explains the reason why this region has been, they have continued to neglect it. Then came the session paper number 10, that basically gave it an intellectual basis, that you invest more in high-yielding areas and the areas, the marginalized areas, will benefit from the trickle-down effect of that development. Ati hao makombo ya kutoka kwa meza itatiririka huku chini na wataonja hiyo. So that is really the reason why the area has remained backwards. So we know issues of education, issues of infrastructure, issues of livestock, water, health, security are really pertinent issues that we need to deal with in this region. We say that we know that the education system is basically hurting because of insecurity in the area. That's why we said that we'll do an affirmative action, and that in terms of admission of students from this region to teacher training colleges and universities, and have them go back and teach in these areas so that children do not suffer in terms of education. And then you also need to put up modern, low-cost boarding schools in this region also. Okay? And then livestock. I've said that people with livestock do not need to be poor people. For a long time, Botswana was running an economy purely based on livestock. They did not, before they discovered diamonds and so on in Botswana, it was running one of the most successful economies on the continent. And you know, the Botswanans came to Kenya to learn from Kenya in 1968. They were taken to KMC in Athi River. They went and looked at it. Then they went to Botswana and set up what they call BMC, Botswana Meat Corporation, a town called Lobatse. I have been there. By the time I went there, they were slaughtering 3 times as many animals there than compared to KMC that time. Exporting to South Africa, exporting to Europe, to Britain, to the United States, and so on from Botswana. So they were running a very, very efficient economy in Botswana. But what's happened to us here? Instead of us doing better, we went down until eventually the president has to take KMC and give it to the military to run. Instead of putting up another one in northern Kenya near the source, this one which was here was limping. The military which has been given to resuscitate. So that is a very, very strategic part of our economy, which we can transform and make it a real foreign exchange earner for this country. Issues of water issues, and Elmi did a lot. And you remember at that time we did boreholes. That time we started doing dams. Because I'm saying in this region where it rains heavily, causing flooding. That water is all washed into the rivers, and the rivers take it, export it to the ocean. The ocean does not need water, because enough water. You need water on the solid land here. So we harvest that water and use it in the times of drought. And we get food stock, feed stock for our animals, so that in times of drought, they continue to have the feed stock. All this is possible, and we can do. And then the issues of health, first education. I have said that we need to start there in terms of our transformation of our country. I say that this country has had 2 liberations. The first liberation brought independence. The second liberation brought us a new constitution, which, as you see, has now opened up northern Kenya. The third liberation and the last one is for economic liberation of our country. And we start with education. That we need to give each and every child born in our country, irrespective of the socio-economic status of the parents, equal opportunity from nursery, primary, secondary, tertiary, up to university level. And when they finished, they'll be given opportunity for employment, and meaningful employment commensurate with their qualifications, not giving them wheelbarrows. And those who want to do business have access to capital. So we create a fund through which they can borrow, and they don't have to pay any interest or anything until after 7 years. The issue of infrastructure, this region was completely neglected. When I became Minister for Roads, it became an eye-opener, because I decided to travel around the country. One time, a group of demonstrators marched from Moyale It took them over 5 days to Nairobi on foot. They announced they were coming to walk to Nairobi. Then they came to the buildings there, Ministry of Works. I was told that it's a team of some rascals who have come into the building. They're saying they want to see you. And they're saying they have come from Moyale. We want to call the police to remove them. I told them, why? Because they have no appointment. I said, no. Put them in a boardroom. I'm coming to talk to them. So I went to talk to them. Then they explained to me the problem they are experiencing. How long it takes to move from here to there, to Moyale. The kind of prices they were paying for commodities, nearly 3 times the prices here in Nairobi, because of lack of poor infrastructure and the insecurity in the region. So I told them, I want to show you we will build the roads. And then I ordered the permanent secretary to ensure that they were paid money, given money for their accommodation and their meals and also their transport back to Moyale. Then I booked an appointment with President Kibaki. I told him I want to come and see him alone with his peers in Daura, and I'll go with my peers, who was then called Mr. Ongera. So when I went to State House. I explained to him the story I've told you about how Kenya was developed from colonial days up to now, how there was a neglect of the northern part. So I told him, Mr. President, I want you to go down in history as a president under whose charge Kenya was expanded eastwards. Then he looked at me and said, Situfanyi. I explained to him, you know what you can do? I had been to Addis Ababa and had met with my counterpart who was Minister for Roads. And he had told me the problems they were having after Eritrea had separated and closed the ports of Assab and Massawa. They were not able to export properly, so they had to now go to Djibouti to bring imports to Addis Ababa. But they said that Kenya, Mombasa, is shorter than Djibouti to southern Ethiopia. So, I told the president, you can build a road from Kibwezi through Kitui, Mwingi, Maua, Isiolo, Marsabit to Moyale. Akasema tufanye. I said, I wanted your permission so that I can start negotiations. So I started negotiations with the ADB, the World Bank, and then my engineers had designed the Moyale bit from Moyale through Achas Post to Marsabit to, from Isiolo, Achas Post, Marsabit to Moyale. And that's how we started that construction. Later on, when I was a prime minister, we came up with the LAPSET. Now LAPSET, now you've improved the things. But we now put up a new port in Lamu, and we put up a highway coming along, and a railway line coming from Lamu through Isiolo. From Isiolo it branches, one to Addis Ababa, another one through Lodwar, Juba. And now, as the High Representative of African Union on infrastructure, I have put it as an AU project, and I'm now expanding it from Juba through Bangui in the Central African Republic up to Kribi in Cameroon to create a land bridge linking the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian Ocean and opening up the interior of the continent. so that we therefore make this a very, very important corridor. Lamu, Isiolo, Moyale, then Isiolo, Lodwar to Juba. And that will make it a very expensive, very, very busy area. There will be a highway, and there will also be a railway line. And then we're talking about bringing the oil from South Sudan, the pipeline, to connect with Turkana, into Isiolo, up to Lamu. And they put a refinery in Isiolo. Then you have now a refined product line going from Isiolo to Addis Ababa. And the one supplying the interior the country here. So Isiolo becomes a very strategic town. And then we now do the highway, which somebody asked here, Isiolo, Modogashi, Wajir to Mandera. And then you do Mandera to Moyale. You have opened up that area completely. Okay? So you have opened up that area completely in terms of infrastructure. So I'm saying that there is a way of dealing with these issues. In terms of health, I talked the other day about Baba Care. Baba Care means that we give each and every Kenyan who is sick opportunity for treatment. And we want to have a level 4 hospitals in each and every sub-county. So that when you put these hospitals, you have doctors, you have nurses, and you have also got medicine in those. And each and every Kenyan is covered through a medical health insurance scheme. Then we talked about value addition to our goods which are produced. Putting up processing industries. And you have centers, Garissa, you have Wajir, you have Isiolo, you have Marsabit, you have Moyale, you have Mandera. Those can be growth centers. With industries there. Those will keep people there. They don't have to come all the way to Nairobi looking for jobs. Okay? Then I've talked about the issue of dealing with the poor. In the rural areas, you have got the rural poor. When, for example, right now, the current situation, when rains have disappeared and there's drought, the livestock is dying. Livestock is dying, and the basis of the economy there is livestock. So children starve. People sometimes live without food. And this is unacceptable under the new constitution. That's why we said we are going to introduce a social protection program. I know a number of people who lived in Europe. If you go in Britain, there's what they call the dole. If you are employed, you have been sacked from your job, you have not gotten a new job, you just go and register for the dole. So that you can be able to pay your rent and get something to eat. That exists in other parts of Europe, in the United States, in Brazil, even in Egypt, here, in Algeria, in Namibia, they have a social protection program. So what I'm talking about is not rocket science. This is not fictitious. So I've said we are going to introduce a social protection program. So that a family without anyone with a source of income per month will be entitled to a social protection fund of 6,000 shillings per month from the government. Okay? They're saying, oh, Baba is lying. I say no. I know where the money is. I've been a prime minister of this country. And I want to do it. Lastly now, about Azimio. Because we talked with Ukur about OPIA, and I said, this is a good idea to bring the people together. That's what Azimio is all about. We talked with the president at length before we did the handshake. Before we did the handshake, because the country was going to be divided. My people told me, after the Supreme Court ruling, and Uhuru Park and Kasarani swearing in, they said, sasa, tuchukue mapicha yote ya Uhuru, turundike mahali, tuchome, alafu tuanze kututawala wenyewe, tutoze ushuru, tuendeshe mambo yetu. Mimi nikaona tukifuata njia hiyo, napeleka Kenya, Somalia. Because it's very easy to start, but to finish it, it's not easy. You guys border Somalia, and you know where Somalia is today. And it's going to continue that for a long time. Look at Afghanistan. Look at Libya now, and so on. So it is very easy to take Kenya to that route. So I said, no, that is not the route to go. Then the others went to Uhuru and told him, Raila has committed treason. Let us arrest him, charge him, take him to committee, and hang him. Mambo ipishe. Uhuru akasema, no, tukifanya hiyo, mambo itakuwa mbaya. So it's under those circumstances that we met to talk. And we talked for a very long time. The first time we talked for 13 hours for the reason. Okay? Then we adjourned. Then we met again and talked for another 6 hours. Then we agreed. We said, Kenya is divided. Kenya is so divided. It's a lot of discrimination, ethnicity. People don't trust each other. You look at here, this is a Somalia, the Somali, this one is a Borana, this one here is a Gapra, this one here is a Sekuye. And Orma, and when you go in there, you will hear this one here is a Digodia. This one here is Gary, Ogaden, and so on and so forth. And then if you go within the Ogaden, you go down to sub-clans, and so on. This is the thing. And say, people distrust each other. You give somebody a job, you think you've done a good thing, you have to, particularly. When I was the chairman of Parliamentary Select Committee on Katiba, when we appointed that young man as a chairman, the one who became the chairman of IEBC, Isaac. I brought him to the commission. The two MPs fought. Ati kila mara ni Ogadeni tu. Ogadeni tu. Walishikana wakapigana ngumi. One was Gary from Mandela. They fought literally in front of me at the bunge there. Ati hii serikali ya Nyayo ni Mandela tu, ni Ogadeni tu. Ogadeni tu, zingine hatuna. So we have those kind of issues in our country. And we must find a way of dealing with them so that we create a society that unifies all of us. And we have a fairness in terms of allocation of resources. You see, people are all fighting about public service jobs. Ati atuko watu wetu kwa boards, tuna permanent secretary, number directors and so on. But public service only employs a fraction of our people. If you take all the people, government upper, and county governments, and the armed forces, police and so on, total 700,000. 700,000. And all those positions are occupied. The vacancies only come through attrition, death, and retirement. That is only 10%. So only 70,000 jobs are available in the public service every year. But every year, we put into the labor market 1 million new people looking for jobs. Yeah. Those who leave primary, secondary, tertiary, and university. 1 million against only 70,000. Answer is what? Private sector. We must enable our private sector to grow, to be able to absorb so many of our people who are looking for jobs. And also promote in private investment. Here is a solution that we want to do. But now we want to work together and agree. Ethiopia will come. See, we have ODM and Jubilee. But we say we're bringing now other parties. Once the bill goes through Parliament, and we're registered, we will be able to bring parties and even individuals can come and run directly as Azimio. You can come as OPIA Azimio, ODM Azimio, Jubilee Azimio. So I've been telling people, let us unite our people. Because, in the elective season, there are a lot of interests. You find there are about 10 candidates for MCA, 10 candidates for MP, the same for senator, women rep, governor. But ultimately, only one person will be elected as an MCA in a ward. The same in a constituency. The same with one women rep, senator, and governor. That does not mean that the ones who have not been elected are useless. No. Or there is no opportunity. There will be an opportunity for everybody. We must have create a win-win situation. So if you're not elected as an MP, some other jobs for you. If you're not senator, women rep, or governor, there will be a position for you going forward. But let us remain in the movement together. Don't run away and now go elsewhere. We want to create an accommodating society which brings everybody together. You see, one of my closest colleagues around is Junaid Mohammed. Junaid's origin is Mandera. They're known as the Kona tribe. You know what I mean by Kona tribe? That is his brother-in-law. Okay? But now, Junaid is a member of parliament for Suna East in Migori County. See? And in the last parliament, Migori County has got 8 members of parliament. All the 7 other members of parliament were removed. Only Junaid survived. The only one who was re-elected. The rest are all removed by the people. Why? Because people like it because of what he's doing to them. And it's not because of his ethnicity. The voters there are how many Somali voters? They are hardly 100. But United is elected because he's a Kenyan. And that is what we want to see. You don't want somebody coming and calling other people Madoadoa. Madoadoa. Look at Nairobi here. You see, he is a member of parliament for Kamkunji. Okay? Why? Because he's a Kenyan. I have been a member of parliament for Langata for 20 years. Okay? But if you talk about the origin or the indigenous residents of here, Nairobi is a Maasai land. But there's not a single Maasai MP now in Nairobi. Because it's the capital of Kenya, any Kenyan can come and run in Nairobi and be elected. So nobody should call somebody madoa-doa in their country. Kenyans should be proud that they are in their country, live together as one people. You can go to Garissa and live and work there, or Mandera, and we must make this our country safe. That's why the issue of security is very important in northern Kenya. And it's an issue that we want to deal with squarely, so that our people feel secure in their land. Insecurity in Somalia should not be allowed to permanently spill over into our country. We must protect our people against insecurity in our neighboring countries. This is also something that we intend to do and work together to make this region fully integrated into the part of bigger Kenya, become one country. This is what I'm determined to do, and working together. So our manifesto is almost ready. We will give it to you, the sections that affect your areas, so that you can have an input into it. But we will keep it secret until the strategic time, when we will release it. Because we don't want other people to plagiarize it. The other people are talking about bottoms up. Bottoms up is basically just a slogan. It is not an economic theory. It has no economic basis at all. In the era it was called this focus for rural development. That's what it was called. This focus is bottoms up approach. Okay? I thank you for listening to me. Nikisema azimio, mnasema inawezekana. Azimio. 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 Azimio tibiu. Azimio ria. Azimio tiara. Asante sana.